Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation. We don't bypass here, we don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and sometimes that includes cussing. It's just part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. If you're new here, please know at this time I create weekly content in 3 parts. Part 1 focuses on what needs to be revealed. Part 2 focuses on what needs to be understood. And part 3 focuses on what needs to be done. What changes do we need to make in order to embody whatever we happen to be discussing that week? Based on when you find this video, you'll find all available links to content in the description box below. If it's not available yet, just know it's on its way. And I say all of that to say this is going to be part 2 for this week's topic. And this week's topic is presence. I'm calling this message, Presence is Living in Right Relationship with Reality. Let's get it. Presence is often misunderstood as paying attention to the present moment, achieving a peaceful mental state, or practicing mindfulness. Those things can support presence, but they are not presence itself. Presence is a way of relating to reality. It is living in direct contact with what is true, allowing your thoughts, emotions, actions, relationships, and values to work together instead of against one another. It is an ongoing orientation toward reality that remains available regardless of whether life feels peaceful or difficult. Say it again. It is an ongoing orientation toward reality that remains available regardless of whether life feels peaceful or difficult. Presence is not something you manufacture. It is what naturally emerges when unnecessary emotional, mental, and psychological interference begins to fall away. The nature of presence. Presence is direct participation in reality. It is meeting life as it actually is, seeing clearly before reacting, remaining open without becoming passive, remaining strong without becoming controlling, responding intentionally instead of automatically, allowing experience to unfold without unnecessary resistance. Presence is not constant thinking, endless analysis, emotional intensity, spiritual excitement, intellectual certainty, performance, withdrawal, control, or escape. It is neither a temporary state nor a technique. Presence is a way of being. Rather than asking, "Am I present?" a more useful question becomes, "How am I relating to reality right now?" Presence begins with relationship. It is not isolation. Again, presence begins with relationship. It starts by meeting yourself, other people, and your circumstances with openness instead of judgment. It develops through honest relationship with yourself, other people, your emotions, thoughts, body, circumstances, and reality itself. Connection replaces separation. Participation replaces observation. Presence is not standing outside life and watching it happen. It is entering fully into relationship with life. And babies, they're just saying there is no other way to genuinely live. They're saying presence is a way of existing. You are already here. Exist, participate. I don't know why I'm hearing, what are you waiting for? Life is already happening, whether you decide to participate in it or not. Reality is not simply something happening in front of you. Shit. Reality is constantly inviting your participation. Sorry, they're laughing at me. I keep channeling shit before I get it in writing. But yes, reality is constantly inviting your participation. And I'm hearing you can accept that invitation at any given moment. And they want to be clear, things don't have to be perfect in order for you to do that. Babies, I don't know who needs to hear it. I don't know why anyone might think this, but I am happy to absolutely shatter this illusion. My life is not perfect. It is not perfect. I got real people problems just like anyone else. Things are not perfect. And I know they're going to turn around. I absolutely know they are going to. They have to. Why? Because I already said it had to, and I put all the commands in place. It's got to happen. But I am still out here making the best of the situation that I have, and I am still participating in this reality. Why? Because I just do not see any other worthwhile way of moving through this experience. I don't know who needs to hear that, but that's something to consider. Participation includes listening, feeling, learning, choosing, responding, receiving, creating, repairing, loving. Baby, some of you just need to, I'm just hearing some of you just need to love harder. Like things feel difficult for some of you. You gotta go back to basics. Some of you really need to focus on your gratitude. I see a glass that is half full, but I'm hearing half empty. Babies, you gotta shift that perspective. And I know it's not always easy to do so, but you really do need to, right? If you ate today, be grateful you ate today. If you have a roof over your head, be grateful for that. You have a car that runs, be grateful for that. You got money in the bank, even if it's not a lot of money in the bank at this time. Remember, that can change at any moment. Be grateful for what you have. Some of you need to get really back to the basics, because the more you find things to be grateful for, I find the easier it is to shift your mindset. Things don't have to be perfect, but you can always find things to be grateful for. Some of you babies, I ain't gonna lie, it's smoky as hell here. I don't know what it's like in Ontario, Canada right now, but I'm on the East Coast in New England, and baby, this air is woo. So you know what? As soon as the smoke clears out, man, I am going outside and I'm gonna take that first good breath of fresh air and make sure that I give gratitude for that. Because you know what? The air we got right now, this ain't it. This ain't it. So if you got to get really basic, if you have clean water, be grateful for that. You woke up today. I assure you, that's a blessing. Some of you just need to be grateful for the little things in your life. I don't care what it is. Heck, I even give gratitude for the fact that I got a comfy bed with some nice ass pillows to lay my head down in every night. My team sometimes will be like, girl, you are grateful. We get it. Like, but it's just practice. I had some really dark days. That shit worked for me. So take that if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. Presence is active engagement. And I'm just hearing if you are not actively engaged, you do not have presence. I don't know why, but I'm hearing the lights need to be on and someone needs to be home for active engagement. Reality is already revealing itself. Reality is not hidden. It continually presents itself. The obstacle is not that truth is unavailable. The obstacle is that attention is usually occupied somewhere else. Thinking, remembering, imagining, planning, worrying, defending, performing. That's why they had me say the lights need to be on and someone needs to be home. Because if you're in this mindset where you're physically present, but you're mentally somewhere else, your attention is somewhere else, they're saying the lights are on and no one's home. Because attention is elsewhere, reality becomes difficult to perceive. Presence is not discovering something entirely new. It is allowing what has always been present to become visible. Truth is often uncovered rather than invented. And babies, for some of you, if you've been watching the last couple of weeks worth of content, they're just saying if you just keep working through that and kind of using those techniques that I've gone through, the truth is going to uncover itself. Why? Because all we've been doing is pulling apart distortions that don't give us clarity, that don't lead to truth, that cloud our judgment. The mind creates distance from reality. The mind naturally creates distance from immediate experience. It does this through rumination, speculation, fantasy, endless interpretation, replaying the past, imagining countless futures, living inside stories instead of experience. These mental activities are not inherently wrong. Babies, they are pulling me back to, I talked about it in the love and the intimacy series. All right, let me go back to that real quick. They're saying living inside of stories instead of experiences. Those are those projections that we talked about in those series. And they're stories instead of reality because those are your projections, right? When we project things onto people, we don't see them for who they actually are. That's how you end up living in stories instead of experience because you are seeing. They told me don't sugarcoat it. You are interacting with the distorted vision, illusion, projection you have of that person. You are not dealing directly with the person. You are not directly participating with reality either when you do that. That is significant for someone. Maybe someone wants to go back and check out those playlists. You can find them. They're literally going to be under the titles Love and Intimacy. I'm not in the business of overcomplicating anything that doesn't require it. So that's there if you want it. Thinking, planning, memory, and imagination are all valuable. The problem begins when thinking replaces experiencing. Understanding reality is different from living in contact with reality. Knowledge cannot substitute for direct experience. I've said it numerous times before. They want me to say it again. Some of you are trying to think through situations, but you have to act through it. You have to participate in reality. Baby, some of you just need to face what is actually going on in your reality. Some of you are really avoiding things. And if you are avoiding things, in my experience, the things that I tried to avoid came back bigger and better in my face and not in a bigger and better way that I was really hoping for. I don't want to say it wasn't the good kind, but basically it just got to a point where it was in my face and I couldn't ignore it, so I had to address it. Like I could have chose to address it in a different way, but that shit just blew through and I had no choice but to address it. And for some of you, that is a warning. I'm just hearing some of you need to have the hard conversations. Some of you, that's going to involve other people. For some of you, that hard conversation is with yourself. They're just saying this is the time to get very real with yourself. What is working in your greatest and highest good? What is not? You really need to look at your attachments, your habits. Some of you really need to look at your mindsets. This is really, again, it's a reevaluation season, but this is not just with your surrounding environments. This is also, I'm not going to lie, this feels like an audit, like an actual audit of your life. I don't know if that makes sense, but this is like look at your life holistically and throw yourself in the mix too. Look at yourself. Okay. The two opposite ways presence is lost. Presence disappears through two opposite extremes. Again, this is those binaries. This is the polar opposites. They're extremes of the same system, just on different ends. And this is why we have to balance this shit out. You don't want to be bouncing in between the two extremes. You want to get to a point where you can get in the middle, reach neutrality, and that way you can actually make a conscious choice of where you are going to end up and when, and frankly, how long you want to stay there. All right? Self mastery. I am going to be audacious I want back pay for every time I've said self mastery, and I want $1 every time I say self mastery moving forward. Pay me. Anywho, sorry, I had to do that with embodiment too, because they make me say it all the time. So you know what? I know where my power lies. They gonna pay me. All right. The first extreme is overactivity. This includes anxiety, desperation, hypervigilance, overthinking, constant urgency, compulsive action, trying to control every outcome. Fear convinces you that everything is an emergency. For some of you, this statement, someone acting like their hair is constantly on fire, is significant. Some of you refer to this stuff as fire drills. Some of you might work in IT or some type of tech support or know people who work in IT. I don't know why that's coming through, but attention becomes trapped in survival. Reality becomes secondary. And babies, they're saying if you're in survival mode, you cannot have presence. They're saying that it's energetically incompatible. They're saying even if you think you have a blip of it, you cannot sustain it. That's why we are doing this series. Babies, I don't know who needs to hear this, but some of you have picked up on it. Good for you. Others of you have not, but ever since I wrapped up, I want to say it was like the abandonment wound. Whenever I did the last wound, ever since then, every single series I have done is geared toward walking us out of survival mode. It tackles different aspects of it, but the goal is to slowly but surely put those distortions down so we can see clearly. Because when you can see clearly, you can start moving more strategically and more consciously. And they're saying those are going to be key to getting out of survival mode. Now, I'm not saying that to say go back and watch all my content. I gotta be honest, I don't give a shit about that. You don't have to do that. But they just want me to note that if you have not made that connection, my goal with this is to get us out of survival based living and move into conscious creation based living. That's why we need embodiment. That's why you need self mastery. That's why we've constantly been working on mastering and reprogramming the mind in different aspects, in different ways, week after week after a week. Basically, I show up 3 times a week to punch survival mode in different ways, just showing up, throwing punches, different sides, different angles, with the goal ultimately knocking that bitch out. And I just heard, let's get ready to rumble. So that might be significant. Boxing might be significant. I'm hearing kickboxing. But that's what we're actually doing. I don't know who needs to hear that. The second extreme is underactivity. This includes helplessness, resignation, emotional withdrawal, complacency, submission, giving away responsibility, believing you have no influence. Life becomes something that simply happens to you. And babies, I gotta be honest with this. If you find yourself here, please remember that you genuinely are the co-creator of your experience. Do not be giving your power away to the external shit that is going on around you. You are more powerful than you could ever imagine. And if you keep working at this, you will get to a point where you understand it. But you have to keep working at it. All right. And I know that's hard. I know that's hard. I had so many moments in my journey where I heard that and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You're telling me I actually created this? Like, what the shit? Like, I was ready to throw them spiritual hands. Like, these hands can pray for you and they can whoop the shit out of you. And I was really ready to absolutely smack a bitch. I really was on more than one occasion. And so I get it. I really get it if you hear me say this and you just get so frustrated, but keep going. If you don't like what is showing up in your experience, really look at it, try to understand what it's telling you, and move differently. Don't be giving your power away. Don't be thinking all of this is just happening to me. I have no control. You actually do. You really do. And some of you, I don't know why I'm hearing some of you might need a little bit more guidance with that. I'm going to leave that there. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that there. Okay. But yeah, they want me to double down, triple down. Do not be giving your power away to things happening in your experience. Remember where your power lies. It is within. Both extremes disconnect you from reality. Presence exists between panic and resignation. It's neither force nor collapse. Presence is neither force nor collapse. It's neither domination nor surrender. Again, presence is in between the extremes. Presence is balance. Knowledge has limits. Knowledge matters. Insight matters. Understanding matters. But none of these automatically create presence. A person may collect ideas, philosophies, spiritual experiences, or profound realizations and still remain disconnected from reality. Even the pursuit of understanding can become another distraction. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it is lived. Embodiment. Got another $1. Experience completes understanding. Living truth matters more than collecting truth. Babies, if you don't use this knowledge and live differently, how is anything supposed to change? If you want to do better, you need to be better. You need to move differently. I don't know who that's for. They're saying chest. What about the chest? You're going to feel that in your chest. If you need to move differently and take action on certain things, you felt that in your chest. Again, living truth matters more than collecting truth. And I'm hearing clear as day, this is from your guides and your ancestors. They are saying, we would rather have you take wrong action, as they're putting it, than to do nothing, than to just keep collecting this knowledge and this information. They're like, just try something. If it doesn't give you the results that you're looking for, adjust, try again. Try again. Babies, they are bringing me back to that message I did. Oh gosh, it was so long ago. That might have been like that was definitely one of the first 10 videos I did when I started this channel. It's something like it's time to play with the universe and see what happens. It's a long video, but I personally love it. You need to start playing with the universe and seeing what happens. Try something, see how it works out. If that doesn't get you what you want, try something else. See what happens. Tweak it. Again, if you work in IT, babies, iterate. Iterate. Right? Start with the basic shit. When that's all good, you build on the next level, right? Take on the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, right? Keep working it until it functions the way you want it to or the way it needs to. Move on. Bring in the next thing. Some of you are feeling so heavy because you are dealing with heavy energy in your experience. And they're saying meeting heavy energy with equally heavy energy is actually not going to make that experience any easier. So they're saying just try to do something small that's different and see what happens. For some of you, you just need to stop avoiding shit. Some of you just need to have an honest conversation with someone. I'm going to say it. Some of you need to have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself if you still respect your partner or not. That's very specific. But this is, energetically speaking, this feels like misery loves company. It's like you're both miserable. Like some of you need to really take a look at that, because they're just saying if you have lost respect for your partner, and I want to, and that could be a romantic partner. I don't know if this is a business partner, but some of you need to look at your inner circle. They're just saying if you don't respect people, you don't trust them. And it's hard to love people you don't respect. Some of you really need to look at foundations of things in your life. I'm going to leave that there. I don't want to dive into that anymore. The goal is not becoming certain. The goal is becoming capable of acting wisely even when certainty is impossible. Wisdom remains comfortable with ambiguity long after fear demands immediate answers. Discernment is the heart of wisdom. Presence is not blind acceptance, nor is it constant judgment. It is discernment. Now I know why that came up. Babies, so shit. Babies, some of you may think you respect your partner, or however that last download came through. Some of you may think you respect people, and they're just saying if you are constantly judging someone and picking them apart and nitpicking them and really like talking down to them, they're saying you don't respect that person. I don't know why I'm on this path. I don't even like this energetically. It is re-evaluation season. Some of you really just need to look at things clearly. All right. Discernment continually asks, what is actually happening? What belongs to me? What belongs to someone else? They're taking me right back to part 1. If you did not watch part 1, some of you may be energetically taking things on that are not yours. Resources, I'm not going to recap it. You can always go watch part 1. Link is in the description box. But you can also look at the Energetic Entanglement with Others series. There's a playlist for that. And there is another one for codependency. I'm going to leave that there. What requires action? What requires patience? What requires acceptance? What requires letting go? What response best fits reality? And babies, they want me to remind you that, again, you can honor your truth without becoming harsh. I'm not going to lie, it feels like someone is triggering you a lot. And I'm not going to lie, your guides and your ancestors, they want you to honor how you feel. But they want you to get more disciplined in your communication. I'm going to be really honest. It is level up season. I shit you not. It is level up season. Some of us are really being called to mature. I don't care what age you are, but this just feels like relationship-wise, we've really been more in our, and this is no shame because I was definitely here too. at one point, but it's like they're basically saying like relationship wise, like we were in like our teenage years with some of this stuff and the way we dealt with relationships. And some of us are really being called to mature. It's time to have genuinely mature adult relationships, emotionally, mentally, energetically. It is level up season. And they're just saying those who are able to rise and do this are going to be crossing paths with other people who can as well. This is a call up. Okay. Presence is intelligent. It responds according to reality rather than according to habits. Identity often replaces reality. Much of attention becomes occupied with maintaining identity. Identity wants to appear important, intelligent, successful, spiritual, unique, right, powerful, interesting. When attention serves image instead of reality, experience becomes divided. That's that fragmentation, babies. Instead of living, you begin managing yourself. Presence begins when identity becomes a useful tool instead of the center of experience. Thinking, roles, and personality remain useful, but they no longer define reality. Babies, some of you may want to watch, and I'm hearing for some of you, you may want to watch Rebalancing the Ego, that series that I did, because some of you are actually in the process of shedding an old identity. And part of what is triggering you is this old identity that is trying desperately to hold on for dear life when it's actually supposed to be buried, to be let go of. They're saying you're going to feel that in your heart space if that's for you. I'm going to leave that there. But they're saying that's going to be significant for someone. So again, thinking, roles, and personality remain useful, but they no longer define reality. Automatic patterns replace conscious choice. Many behaviors happen automatically. These include emotional habits, defensive reactions, learned beliefs, social conditioning, repeated thought patterns, old coping strategies, survival responses. Most people mistake these automatic reactions for conscious choice. Presence interrupts automatic living. Babies, this is the maturity we are being called to embody. This is that sacred pause. If you've watched the past, at a minimum, the past last week's series. Awareness creates space. Within that space, choice becomes possible. I'm hearing if you don't have that pause in between what occurred and how you respond, you do not have presence. That is automatic living, that is automatic reacting. And babies, they are just saying if you can insert that pause, that is really how you take your power back from what is occurring in your experience. And I know it sounds really simple, but I gotta be honest, it is such a game changer. It is such a game changer. Why am I hearing souffle? What is that? Souffle. I'm saying Kung Fu Panda. I haven't watched those movies in a very long time. I don't know. I'm going to leave that there because I'm not getting anything more. But babies, when people realize that they can't get the reactions they're used to getting out of you, it forces the whole dynamic to shift. It really does, especially when people are used to you reacting in a certain way. You make that shift from reacting to consciously responding, and you can keep yourself composed with that conscious response. It is hard for any shit to really touch you and rattle you. I gotta be honest, it is one of the most badass techniques I have in my toolbox. It just is. You could be freaking out in my face, and I'm just like, okay. You know, like I'm here, I'm watching you crash out. Like, what about it? Like, what are we actually trying to do here? You know, it like usually makes them crash out harder, but again, it's just like, what are we actually trying to do here? Because some of you are going to realize people just can't communicate. And that's going to be important information for you to know. Because how can you fix things with people who can't even communicate what they're experiencing, why they're experiencing what they're feeling? How do you build sustainable foundations with people like that? Some of you need to get very clear on who is capable of doing what and whether that's going to actually work for you or not. Self-mastery. Every protective pattern once served you. Fear, control, withdrawal, perfectionism, people-pleasing, overthinking, performance. These are not personal failures. These originally developed to create safety. Presence does not attack these patterns. It understands them. Only what is understood can be transformed. That is part of the reason why some of you need to understand who is capable of what. Some of you are going to clock the fact that some people don't even understand themselves. Some people are going to reveal their conditioning to you. Some of you, you're going to recognize your own conditioning through this process. Compassion, therefore, includes compassion toward your own conditioning. That's why it's reevaluation season, not just for others, but for yourself. Some of you are going to have your own conditioning brought to the forefront for you. Why? Because you need to look at that shit. Only what is understood can be transformed. Every experience carries information. Nothing needs immediate acceptance or rejection. Everything first becomes something to understand. Fear asks, what feels threatened? Anger asks, what boundary feels violated? Grief asks, what has been deeply loved? Joy asks, what is flourishing? Confusion asks, what has not yet become clear? Silence asks, what does not require words? Presence listens before reacting. Emotions become information rather than command. Babies, they want me to put this section in the description box as well, because some of you need these questions or would benefit from these questions when you do your self-reflection. I'm going to honor that, so you will find that in the description box below. You can take a screenshot if you'd like. Conflict is a teacher. Discomfort is not failure. Conflict reveals hidden attachments, expectations, resistance, unresolved beliefs, fear, growth that has not yet occurred. The purpose is not eliminating conflict. The purpose is remaining conscious while conflict unfolds. Inner authority develops through staying present during difficulty instead of escaping it. True authority is self-governance. Real strength is internal. It means governing yourself instead of controlling others. Remaining grounded during uncertainty. Holding boundaries without aggression. And that takes time to master. Because I may be pissed off in my head, but I'm not about to get nasty in someone's face unless pushed to the extreme. I may be shit talking you in my head. I be working on that part of me. But holding boundaries without aggression. Self-mastery includes mastering responding, and that includes your emotions. Again, you can honor your truth without unnecessary harm. Acting intentionally, leading yourself before attempting to lead others. Authority is stability, not domination. Domination is an extreme. Freedom begins with internal order. When your thoughts, emotions, values, and actions stop competing with one another, inner freedom naturally appears. And babies, this is really what we're trying to move toward. This is really what the goal is to get back to wholeness. Because the more we get back to wholeness, the more we integrate all aspects of ourselves, the more you can consciously choose how to respond. Everything is energy. All these topics are interconnected. Presence restores right proportion. Many psychological struggles arise because something valuable has become too large. Thinking overtakes experiencing. Emotion overtakes discernment. Identity overtakes authenticity. Knowledge overtakes wisdom. Control overtakes trust. Action overtakes listening. Withdrawal overtakes participation. Nothing necessarily needs to disappear. Everything simply returns to its proper place. Bitch, I am gonna throw this notebook. Presence restores balance. No more swinging in between the extremes. It restores balance. Get back to the middle. Presence is balance. Presence integrates opposites. Life contains many apparent opposites. Presence allows them to work together. Strength with gentleness. Authority with humility. Action with stillness. Confidence with curiosity. Acceptance with change. Discipline with compassion. Thinking with feeling. Knowledge with experience. Individuality with relationship. Presence does not force one side to defeat the other. It integrates both. That is how it restores balance. Presence is embodied. Presence is not merely mental awareness. Reality is encountered through breathing, listening, movement, touch, seeing, conversation, work, rest, relationships. The body is not separate from presence. It is one of the primary places where presence is lived. Babies, they want me to share a download I got months, maybe even might be getting closer to a year now since I got it, but I got a download from Gaia that the body is merely an extension of her. And not everyone's going to understand that, and that's okay. That will make sense when it's supposed to make sense, but you cannot interact in this experience without a body. Gaia, the planet, this experience, it's all connected. Your body, the way you are present, the way you interact here is all a part of her. It's all connected. That's why some of you really need to pay attention to your body. That's why your body is coming online. That's why your body wants a seat at the table. Some of you need to realize your body has a certain level of sacredness too, right? Take care of the body. You are taking care of Gaia when you take care of yourself and you take care of the environment around you. Babies, everything is energy. It is all connected. I don't know why they're having me go out there like this. I'm not questioning it. I'm just going with it because I know I've been sitting on this information for a while, but some of you need to have your understanding pushed because you are supposed to go out there. You are supposed to open your mind to some of these things that I'm talking about. We're going to head into deeper things at some point. I feel that strongly. It's not going to resonate with everyone, but we are going to go there. It's just a matter of when. But some of you need to look at your body as an extension of the planet. Your love for your body runs a lot deeper than you think. I'm going to leave that there. Rest is different from escape. Quietness is not always peace. Avoidance is not rest. Withdrawal is not healing. Distraction is not recovery. Emotional numbness is not acceptance. True rest remains connected to life. I'm hearing if you're really trying to rest, put the phone down. I'm going to leave that there. It restores participation rather than replacing it. Peace is engagement without unnecessary struggle. Joy does not need performance. Life does not need to become extraordinary before it becomes meaningful. Ordinary moments already contain depth. Relationships, meals, conversations, work, walking, learning, helping, waiting, resting, creating. These are not interruptions to life. They are life. Joy loses authenticity when it becomes performance. Babies, I'm hearing again. I'm hearing Alex Warren, ordinary, but it's that one line. We'll make the mundane our masterpiece. Some of you really need to romanticize your life. You just need to really get back and enjoy the small moments. My team makes fun of me. They joke. I know they love it. But eating some good food can turn my whole day around. A good meal can make me happy clap. And just turn my whole day around. I joked once, I was like a damn good New York style, everyday bagel, everything bagel, toasted with cream cheese can literally like turn my frown upside down. I'm that simple. I'm not super complicated in that respect. But like sometimes when I'm not having a good day, they're like, go get a bagel. Like, go here, get a snack, go to that ice cream place, go get a cookie. Like something small, nothing outrageous. But for me, it is that simple to just turn shit around. Why? Because I love that shit. And I just really enjoy the moment when I have it. Make the mundane your masterpiece. All right. Joy does not need recognition, validation, comparison, display. Presence allows quiet gratitude. Attention is your primary creative force. Attention shapes experience. What consistently receives attention grows psychologically real. Where attention goes, energy flows. Attention strengthens habits, deepens relationships, forms identity, shapes memory, creates meaning. Where attention goes, life organizes itself. Presence, therefore, carries ethical responsibility. Attention helps create the world you inhabit. Some of you need to work on mastering where your attention goes. Is where your attention going serving your greatest and highest good? Some of you need to ask if your attention is actually ultimately leading you toward action. Some of you are just looping in your head and it's keeping you standing still. And I'm hearing that's not sitting well with you. You got to do something different. Time is reorganized. Presence changes your relationship with time. The past becomes wisdom rather than identity. The future becomes direction rather than anxiety. The present becomes home. Everything changes. Every emotion, every success, every disappointment, every relationship, every insight, every achievement, every loss. Impermanence is not an enemy. It is what gives each moment value. Presence does not try to stop change. It participates fully while change unfolds. Baby, some of you need to just start trying to wrap your head around the fact that change is just one of the constants. Some things come, some things go. Some things stay with us for a while. Some things fall off after they've served their purpose. Presence allows you to appreciate what is meant to be in your life for the time frame it is supposed to. But it's also there, it's almost like there's this warning about possession. Possession of people, places, and things. Presence is not meant to fuel possession. In fact, it balances out the extreme of possession. You appreciate what you have and what it has done for you while it is meant to be here. And when it goes, you thank it with gratitude and you let it move forward and you just part ways with it. Some of you are fighting that balance. I'm going to leave that there. Humility opens perception. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is seeing yourself accurately. You influence life. You do not control all of it. You possess knowledge. You never possess complete knowledge. I assure you, there's just new layers that open up. Anytime I think I got something cracked, there's new shit that comes in. All right? You matter. You are not the center of reality. Humility creates openness. Openness allows learning. Learning deepens presence. Some of you are fighting things that you are meant to learn from. And that is part of the reason why some of you want to escape, why some of you want to disassociate. Stay present. What is that trying to teach you? Because for some of you, when you crack the lesson, you can figure out what you're going to do to move through that and ultimately move beyond it. You are being called to mature self-mastery. Some of you are being held here at these lessons until you master them before you're allowed to move on. Some of you are just in, it may be summer where I am, meteorology wise, season wise. Some of you are internally in a spring season. And yes, I did get the download that you can be in a different season from what is in your external experience. They don't have to always align. It depends on your process and how fast you mature. But I'm hearing some of you are in spring cleaning season. Spring cleaning season. And that's exactly how they want me to put it. Presence is mutual. You are not only shaping reality, reality is shaping you. Every conversation changes everyone involved. Every relationship changes both people. Every experience leaves traces. Presence recognizes this mutual participation. Life is always influencing you as you influence life. Babies, that is that energy, that infinity, that ebb and that flow. Everything is energy. Every interaction shapes both people, shapes anyone involved. That's why conscious responding no matter what it is so important moving forward because it gives you the opportunity to determine if, when, how those things impact you and to what extent. It's getting sophisticated. And again, I'm just hearing if it's not fully resonating, I'm hearing you're still listening for a reason. It'll make more sense when it makes more sense. Again, I just feel like some of my downloads are going to start pushing you beyond what makes sense because you need to be pushed. But you also need to trust that that's going to make sense when that makes sense. But I'm going to leave that up to you whether you want to keep going with that or not. Presence naturally becomes ethical. Clear perception changes behavior. As presence deepens, compassion becomes more natural. Manipulation becomes less appealing. Domination becomes unnecessary. Listening becomes easier. Responsibility grows. Kindness becomes practical rather than performative. Ethics emerge from seeing clearly, not merely from following rules. Presence is continual returning. Attention will wander. Identity will reconstruct itself. Emotion will fluctuate. Habits will repeat. Presence is not never drifting. Presence is repeatedly returning. We talked about this in the integrity series. Returning is the practice, not perfection. And I'm hearing practice makes perfect. Presence is alignment. Every part of your life can either work together or pull against itself. Thoughts, emotions, values, words, actions, relationships, attention. When they move in different directions, life becomes fragmented. When they align around what is actually true, life becomes coherent. Presence is this growing coherence. That coherence is that wholeness, bringing all those pieces of yourself back together. Are we good? Am I good? All right. Presence is living in right relationship. Ultimately, presence is not about eliminating parts of yourself. Thought, emotion, identity, knowledge, planning, action, and rest remain valuable. Nothing is rejected. Everything finds its appropriate place. Presence is the harmonious ordering of your inner and outer life, so that each part serves reality instead of competing with it. Integrity and presence go hand in hand. It's all connected. The fundamental shift, the deepest transformation, is a change in what becomes the center of your life. Instead of asking, what do I want? What do I fear? How do I appear? How do I control this? How does this affect my identity? You gradually keep asking, what is true? What is actually happening? What is needed here? What response fits this moment? What supports life? They're saying if that last question feels a little too out there for you, ask yourself, what supports genuine joy? What serves love, wisdom, and reality? This is not self-erasure. It is a reordering. Reality becomes your reference point instead of preference, fear, or identity. The complete movement. This entire message describes a lifelong process rather than a destination. First, you become aware of the ways fear, habit, performance, and conditioning shape your experience. Then you learn to observe before reacting, understanding what your thoughts and emotions are communicating without letting them take control. As awareness grows, your thinking, emotions, body, relationships, values, and actions become more integrated. You stop living in fragments and begin living as a coherent whole. The goal is wholeness. You discover that real strength comes from self-governance rather than control. That wisdom comes from lived experience rather than certainty. And that peace comes from participating fully in reality rather than escaping it. You come to see ordinary life as the place where the deepest understanding is lived, not as something to get through on the way to more meaningful experiences. Gradually, attention returns again and again to what is true. Resistance softens, identity becomes flexible, knowledge becomes embodied. Compassion extends both to others and the parts of you that once developed to protect you. This is not about blame, shame, or judgment. Conflict becomes a teacher. Impermanence becomes a source of appreciation rather than fear. And every experience becomes an opportunity to understand reality more deeply. The result is not perfection, constant calm, or the absence of difficulty. It is an increasing capacity to meet life directly, clearly, compassionately, and wisely. In its fullest sense, presence is living in right relationship with yourself, other people, your own mind and emotions, the changing nature of life, and with reality itself. When these relationships become aligned rather than divided, presence is no longer something you occasionally practice. It becomes the organizing principle through which you perceive, choose, act, and live. Leave it there. Okay. Babies, that is all I have for part 2. I will be back later this week with part 3. Feel free to tune in if that resonates with you. And if it doesn't, just know it'll still be there if you decide to change your mind later on. All right, take care of yourselves, beautiful beings. And until next time, bye.